I've worked for the university for a relatively short period of time, but during that time I have seen a lot of things I do not like.
My name is Catherine Walsh and I am a lecturer at JOMEC in Cardiff University, and I am also the DEP rep for the UCU, so I am the school representative on the union. One of the reasons there's a second strike in 2 years is because the last strike really only pressed pause on one of the big issues, which is the pension issue. The last strike was about the pension. We were going to be moved from a defined benefit to a defined contribution pension. What that would have meant for a younger person like myself, losing perhaps £100,000 in my retirement. The joint expert panel came back and mostly agreed with the union, found a middle position that was quite close to ours. But the pension fund decided they didn't like that, they were going to ignore it, and so far the employers have sided with the people who manage the pension fund. But last time it was just about pensions, and this time it is also about pay, precarity, and workload. So what's been happening to our pay over the last 10 years is we're always getting a little less than inflation, and after a decade of that I'm making a fifth of what I would have if I just kept pace with inflation. Perhaps a third of the people who you see working in a university are on short-term contracts, are hired hourly pay. They have, and when you think about it, these are jobs the university knows it's going to need done year after year after year, and it's often counting on the same people coming back, and yet they don't have any job security. And the last one is workload, which is massive actually, because we don't just work 37.5 hours a week. We work a lot more than that, and we work evenings and we work weekends and we work on our summer holidays. For a lot of the people on the short-term contract, of course, mental health from hard work, also mental health from not knowing if I'll have a job. There's a big gender pay gap in universities. We have some wonderful PhD students who are not very happy because the university doesn't even consider them employed when they teach, it considers them engaged. They're engaged, which means they have zero employment rights. In terms of local conditions, I think that the engagement versus employment of PhD students who teach, I think that's a big one. Precarity is huge, the gender pay gap being a bit larger, and we've really had, the mental health issue. Our job as a union is to take care of our members, and our members have legitimate grievances. It's very hard to get a strike mandate in the UK because of fairly hostile legislation. I'm participating in a legal picket today. I don't obstruct anyone, colleague or student who wants to come into the building certainly can. There's two things about a picket. One is that it's for visibility, The other one is it's for solidarity. And you will see people dancing, and you will see people bringing their dogs, and you will see Great British Bake Off writ large. People bring their cupcakes. People come, and one of the things we do is support each other.
So I'm Rachel, I'm a PhD student at JOMEC. I'm also a UCU member. I joined like 2 weeks ago. The more that I learn about the issues that are being faced by both lecturers and professional service staff, the more I really want to change it. I've got 2 years left of my PhD. Academia is a sector I really want to go into, but at the moment my rights as a PhD student aren't particularly being protected, and they're not really there in the first place. I'm funded for my PhD, I'm very grateful for that, but looking at the landscape for what happens afterwards, it looks pretty grim. I really value a work-life balance. I'm thinking of starting a family in the next few years, and it really worries me that the conditions are as they are. I don't need to teach to keep my position here. I'm adequately funded by a research council. It might be different for other people, but I know that it's so much worse in other institutions, and I'm kind of striking just to stand in solidarity with them, because I don't think that's very fair.
I didn't like striking in 2018, but I will say I met some wonderful people across the university who have become my friends. I was discussing, I was on the picket line yesterday, and the camaraderie is actually great. So with us, students, we have several students standing with us today. That's fantastic too. I think we feel good, and the other thing is we feel right. We feel like we're right, and we feel like we can do this. We can do this because we're together. I'd rather be in teaching. I'm a bit wet. I'd rather be teaching, but it's okay.
I need my pension. Yes, it's true. Better working conditions, equal payment too. Thriving fairly, treat me fairly. I'm getting tired of working 8 days a week.